All right, hi, welcome everyone to session 2 of The Future of Work with myself, Susanne Conrad. I'm the founder of Lightyear Leadership, and today is May 10th, 2022. And in this second session, I'd like to explore a couple ideas that will forward what we talked about in session 1. So let me just do a brief summary of session 1 so that people can all get caught up. It wasn't even that long ago. Basically, what we shared about is that the future of work is the future. And it's about vision and it's about learning. So it's about being able to transmit your intelligence over a modality such as this, like Zoom, and also to be able to know when to show up in person, when to have your particle there. And I shared a bit, and then I had people come on who needed some support or were moving through some issues with their work or their vision. And we did some coaching of that. And then Hunter provided a follow-up email that included the Lightyear Principle, Remembering the Future, and then a short audio cast that's used for visioning. So that's available to people if you want to have that. And that was part of session 1. So session 2, this is what I really here to dive into what I sense are some of the predictions and things I feel we want to be prepared for. And the great thing about me and Lightyear is anything that I'd ask you to be prepared for is going to be helpful no matter what happens. So there's really 2 major states of being, one that's static and one that's dynamic. And we have lived a fair amount in a more static world where things are observable and repeatable. And I'd say that right now we're in highly dynamic conditions where markets change, work changes, prices of stock changes. There's a lot of change happening. And so the people that begin to develop the communication and with-itness skills that allow them to be agile and adaptable without selling out themselves, you know the difference? So to be able to be true to themselves, their purposes, their vision, and their goals, and then adapt to things are really going to be the most successful and the most happy. So we also have a principle in Lightyear called balance is dynamic. And so I believe that the future of work is a dynamic one. Now, I'm going to say one thing that's it could sound a little scary. So get ready. I don't mean to scare you. I just want to tell you a proverb that I believe is helpful, which is that which does not learn becomes food for that which does. That's really the way the forest works. So we really are in a learning environment. Now, it might not necessarily be that you need to learn how to code or you need to learn, some very specific skill. It could simply be that it's about learning how to learn, how to enjoy change and embrace uncertainty and do it with fun. Do it with beauty, do it with joy, instead of what most people say is, oh, change is hard. So they use the power of the spoken word to create any kind of change as if it's hard. That's not necessarily true. Change is awesome. Aren't you glad that something has changed from this morning? Otherwise we'd have Groundhog Day. So the person that can learn how to welcome change and also how to know how to cause it at the right time is going to be more conversant and successful in this future. So the other thing, so balance is dynamic, learning how to deal with change. And there's a term that we used at the beginning of the pandemic when we were leading lots of community light hours that I'd like to return to, called the multi-potentialite. So the multi-potentialite is a person who's interested in lots of things. Like I'm looking at all of you, and in particular, like a Daniel or a Christine Wolzelski. These are people that they love to study like 20 or 30 things all at once. Now, those of us that don't know 20 or 30 things all at once, what we can do is start to liberate all the different potentials that are within us, all the new things that we can learn. So a multi-potentialite is somebody who has these multifaceted interests and can shift to see like what gift to bring to what, and to have that be fun for themselves. Now, let me link that idea with the power of the future, the power of vision and goals. This is what I really see is the authorized future of the gig economy, is when a person can share with their clients or their prospective employers or their prospective partners, either relationship love partners or work partners, what their vision and goals are, so that when it's time to do what most of us call a side hustle, it doesn't have to be in the dark. It can be in the light of day, like it can be known. So for instance, in the Lightyear community, people may have a career and then they may also coach. And people might be a team member at Lightyear and then also have an art business or another dimension of their expression. That's a multi-potentialite. And that's a legitimized extension of the gig economy. And the more we have multiple streams of interest, self-expression, and income, the more we actually stabilize ourselves in an environment that could become highly dynamic. Okay, so I believe that the future of work has a lot to do with those skills and those abilities. Now, let's just give a bit of a shout out to art. And then what I'd like to do today, different from session one, is hear from some people about what they're sensing about the future of work and what they're noticing in their world, so that we can have the collective wisdom of the people that are present here on this recording, which I want to disclose will be put onto YouTube. So those of you that share, just know that you're sharing to people who will also be watching it in perpetuity. And by speaking, you're giving your permission to be heard, to be recorded, to be on YouTube. Okay. So a word for art and the power of art. So we also talk about how the future of work is human. And humans are, oh my gosh, they're so incredible. They're so beautiful. They're so expressive. They're so creative. And art is one of those facets of it. And I was at a large leadership summit a while ago, but not too long ago, but before the pandemic, where Seth Godin was the keynote speaker. It was a large conference. And he was talking about the one thing for sure that is irreplaceable is art, human art. And that each of us has the capacity to be an artist and to share our art. Now, some of you might not identify yourselves as artists, yet I'd like this session of our future of work to help you step in more deeply the identification of, well, I am an artist, or I'm learning to become an artist, or I'm respecting my artistry. And let me just give you a small example. So years ago, I was flying home through YVR after having led a large leadership session. And I went to one of those little massage chairs where you get to sit down and you pay the person $20 and they give you a little massage. And it was my big treat to myself because I had been working so much. And the woman was, chatty, which I thought, okay, that's fine. She wants to talk, I kind of wanted to fall asleep. She wants to talk. And so she said, so tell me what you did. Tell me, and I told her a little bit about what I had done. And for the first time in my life, this woman massaging my shoulders said, oh, I see. You are an artist. And it just floored me to be seen, because most people would see me as, oh, she's a corporate consultant. But as soon as she said that, I started to see myself, and that what I do, there's this art to it and there's a science to it. And it's helped me step more deeply into the humanity of what I provide. So that's a lens that I'd like each of you to begin to look through as you start to create the collage of the multi-potentialite future of your livelihood and your self-expression. So with that, Seth Godin, he's the coolest. He's the coolest. And see, coolness isn't really going to be delegated anytime soon to an artificial intelligence. And by the way, because I am going to make friends with all of them, I like to say machine learning, not artificial intelligence. I think they probably don't feel good about that so much. I really feel like we should come up with better words. But anyway, there's no way right now that we could do that with coolness, because coolness is part of that fun, that beauty. It's very human. Okay, so let's begin by hearing from like 3 to 5 people about what are some of the things that you're seeing in your workplace or in the workplaces of places that you touch. Either that's a new trend or a place where you see people stuck. Let's just get some of the landscape out in this community light hour so that we can see where we could be shining the light together to support a dynamic and creative community, perhaps creating the best opportunities of work. So let's have some folks share. What are you seeing and sensing? Yeah, Megan. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Great.
So I guess what I'm seeing is like there's been some really open conversations, let's say, about social issues and maybe hybrid work, but not in a holistic way. And so I think as people are transitioning,
Did Megan
hybrid work,
freeze
being
or
back in
did
the
I?
office all the time, still being at home, I feel a pause. Oh, is it me? There just hasn't been enough of a pause. Ugh, it's me.
How about you do this for us, Megan? Just go off video and then begin where you said there needs to be more of a pause. And then we'll be able to hear your audio. So she's going to work on that. So part of it is being patient with all the modalities. So we're going to let Megan come back on. I think that's what we'll do. So we'll put a comma there, and let's have another person share, and then we'll weave Megan back in when she comes back on. What are you seeing? What are you sensing?
Hey,
Hi. Yeah. Hi, Chris.
I was just thinking, I had a goal on Lightyear probably 2 years ago to have a second stream of income.
Yes.
And I was fortunate enough to buy a house that's a duplex. So I have rental income. And also, I run it in a way that feels very, the primary focus for me is being a good neighbor and expectation as well. So it's like a very happy place. Anyway, so I wanted to share that. And then also I like thinking about multi-potentialites and have always felt a little bit of an absence in like wanting to be more of a creative or a creator. So I think I'm perhaps looking for that third stream of income.
Yeah.
And I'm just sharing it, just to bless it from the group.
I love that. So those of you that might not know Chris, you would probably primarily identify as a scientist, and that's an art.
Yeah. It's great.
And so it's interesting too, the home purchase actually really came from vision and attracting that. And so having a vision and goals, everyone listening, it isn't like you went ahead and planned like, oh, I'm going to go buy a duplex so I have this extra income here. It starts to happen because we put those intentions out and we start to frame and authorize the space to bring us those opportunities and those experiences. So now you've planted the other seed of the other creative stream, that's awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. It's great. It's great to have all the different kinds of people expressed here on this call. So Megan, yeah, let's go back to you. You were seeing something about the timing and the integration. So take it from the top.
Okay. And that I do feel like people are coming back and they're not the same as where they were. And they're a little confused, maybe even like a little hurt with like things that are going on in the world. And everyone knows that work is not the same, but I don't feel like we're having real conversations about how to change and move forward together as an organization. And I just don't think it's holistic enough to address people where they are today. And I feel like there's a real need to meet people where they are and pull
Yes.
that goodness out of them, right? And then use that to move forward. And I don't exactly know how to do that, but I
Yeah.
feel like I'm
What
seeing it from afar and being like, this is a problem, this is not working. And then how to lead that through the organization.
could you tell me what environment you're seeing that in? Is it one you're personally in, or are you witnessing one? Or
Yeah, certainly witnessing it in my work environment. I work in higher ed, and it's huge, right? So there's thousands of employees, but I see it specifically within my division. I see it specifically within the whole university. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. May I offer some thought on that we could then expand as people are sharing. Yeah.
Yes, please.
So you, in your role, I really feel like there's something important about meeting people where they are. And one of the things I've come to understand now at the age that I am is the level of patience it's required from me to allow people to change at their own rates, which seems counterintuitive. But so the mere fact, Megan, that you see the possibility of a more authentic, deeper conversation, being able to take the breath, being able to be more systemic, all I would want for you is to be able to hold that picture long enough and not give up on it while it begins to fulfill. Okay? Because typically, not always, but typically, universities lag the actual marketplace. And they also, though, can be places where well, here's what I want to say to you, because I know you know these things, but one of the ways you could be helpful is to help bring people out of simply neck up thinking, because one of the futures of work will be the whole intelligence of the body, right. And using the different tools that you're aware of. So you could, when you're asking people questions, ask them, what are you sensing? What are you seeing? What do you feel? And that'll help them connect in a new way, because so often we're asked questions that put us in the position of being the answer for something instead of the collaborative team of asking a question that's worth answering. And I really feel like you could be a beacon for that in your environment.
I love that.
Yeah.
Get out of the neck up.
Yeah. Kind of get in a little into the heart and the lungs, and because that'll be some of the future of work, I imagine, is people saying things like this. Okay, everybody, it's your choice. Just stand up for a second and just take a stretch. It's the end of the day. You've maybe been on Zoom all day. Kind of just maybe bend back a little bit, kind of like this, a little neck roll, and so if you're the person leading the conversation and making it more ordinary, it just starts to feel great, because there's a way where we've segmented so much, like this is when I exercise and this is when I teach and this is when the kids come home, that now that we've been on Zoom, people actually see this more integrated life, and that will help people kind of go, oh, just take a breath. Yeah. Thank you. What part are you in? I probably ought to know.
No, it's all good. I work at the University of Notre Dame, and I am the director of sales for all our events on campus.
Oh my gosh, events.
Which included an 80,000 person Garth Brooks concert on Saturday, all the way down to like a 20 person event. It's all over the place.
Thank you for bringing people together after
It
this
was very fun.
pandemic. Good job,
It was
you.
very
Thank
fun.
you, Megan. Okay. Okay. Garth Brooks. Okay. What else are y'all sensing, seeing? What are you experiencing? And where are you looking for more or help?
I can go.
Yeah, Colette, hi.
Hi, again today. So well, in our house, I have like two total different experiences where Ronnie, my husband, has worked in the same business for like 30 years on commercial shoots and is completely burned out and ready to quit at 62 and retire. And, you know, and I see what I love about what's happening now is there's no work balance in that industry, in film, TV. Everybody works outrageously long hours and, you know, and they're all kind of tired and bored. But what I now, when they get older, right? When they start to just want to get out. And so there's this older group where you see where they want that break between working hard and then retiring and doing nothing. And so, and then you have young people, which I love, which are not, they often move through different careers, which is fabulous. And there's no stigma around working at many different careers throughout their lives, which I love, because then you have an opportunity to grow, like you were talking about, learning new industries and growing. And then what I see is that the only thing that what I love is that, like you said, I'm going to work in my field, which is property management, and then coach. And Ronnie is working and painting.
Yes.
My husband's an artist. And so what I love is this idea of being an artist in your own way, even if you're earning most of your income doing something else, which is so much more fulfilling than this old way of just working really hard and then retiring and golfing. You know?
Yes. And the beautiful thing about you and Ronnie is that you're giving this integrated picture to your children so that they can see that their future really gets expressed many different ways. And they're already, you know, learning all these different things that wouldn't have been the same had they been in the same time zone as we are.
Yeah, I actually think it's and I think it's a really actually exciting time for the workplace, which a lot of it was, as we know, happened because of COVID. But I have a lot of faith in this generation of creating a new picture. And
yes.
That's what you're talking about, helping people create a new picture.
Yes.
What work looks like.
And, you know, it's going to be the people making a request to have it be different. So let's weave back to what Megan also said is the way the evolution of work will come from people asking for something more different and willing to be accountable at a new level. So one of the things, like when I'm educating people about the power of Lightyear training inside an organization, I often talk about how what we do is we help the person identify the gifts coming from their generational line and then help them author their future so that they can forgive anything from the past, because otherwise we go to work with our unresolved issues around authority. And most of what we have for HR rules are to control and manage the issues about authority. So I'd say, to your point, Colette, the future of work really is self-leadership. And the people, I know for myself, when I work around people that like get clear about what they're going to do, get it done in their by when, ask for help when they need it, like it's so fun and easy. And the old picture of work is like, wait around until, you know, Daniel tells me what to do, or you know, and I believe that way of being, I feel responsibility is the right word, but there's another one that's better. I feel a purpose to ensure that we democratize Lightyear tools so that more of the people can activate their life and have a life like you or I have, instead of like waiting to be told, waiting to get a raise, waiting to be given an opportunity, that they can be asking for the social change that they want, and then being responsible for doing a great job. You know, it's still not the norm. Yeah. Thanks, Colette. Yeah, Hunter, what are you seeing?
Yeah, I just wanted to share because, like, I think this is also along the lines of starting to do something creative and be a multi-potentialite is it's just doing it. So it's being a self-leader and your own manager for the work that you want to be doing. And whether that work is like an entrepreneurial role or a creative pursuit, instead of just having all the things that come up that always block you from doing it, like I'm too busy, I don't have the resources. It's just starting with the simplest and smallest thing. And I was actually just working with Colette on what she's offering. And it's just starting and doing it is the first thing always. And I think that's part of how the future of work will work, is that when you want to do something, you just have to start doing it. And whether that's internally at a company, like being the person that just does it because you know it has to get done, and pat yourself on the back. And it's also doing that in your own creative pursuits. Like, you have to start playing music. If you really want to play music, you can't just think about playing music. So I think that's the big one too. And then, like, how do you get over those roadblocks or resistance to actually doing the thing you know you're meant to be doing?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. I mean, how great to work with someone who sees that something needs to be done and they begin to do it. And really the reward of doing it is the intrinsic sense of doing it, you know, instead of like, a lot of times people say, well, I want to have a job role where I'm paid to do all these things. Well, it can often take an employer a while to be able to see the value in that. Whereas if they get to witness someone bringing that as their own artistry and their own self-expression, they're like, oh my God, you're really good at that. I'd really like that to happen more here. So, you know, let's, here's what I'm hearing to do in this midpoint, because in the first session, we talked about vision. Here is really where we can set a seed goal about the immediate future of your work as an artist. So it might be inside your career and your livelihood, but it could be inside a new definition of yourself as an artist and this seed goal. So for instance, it could be, and there's so many things. Okay, I'm not going to talk about that. I just got kind of too excited thinking about them, because I feel like this is what we all could do. So my sense is, let's stay together and hear from at least one or two people what they sense theirs might be. And then I could put you in breakout rooms to talk with other folks, and then we all come together. So that this is really the season in May to plant a seed. So the future of work, you know, on our team, I just saw a wonderful thing. One of our team members, Nancy, is leaving to lead a retreat in Peru. So I thought she wouldn't be on the normal team meeting next week, but of course she is, because she's in the time zone. Like, she just has this whole new picture of how work looks for her. It's this and life. And I do that too, but every once in a while I forget. So that's an artistry, like how to maintain one's connections with what one is doing here in North America when they're in South America. So for me, a piece of artistry, what just actually happened. Here's a great example of artistry. So I'm on a board of a nonprofit called Imagine One Day, and I just finished a call, and I saw that there was a long thread of different decisions that were being made that are important, that I've heard about, and it happened fast. And in the past, In the past, I would have wanted to have read every last thing and had the smartest thing to say, because everybody expects me to be the smartest person. No, only I expect that. People, what people actually value when I've done my interviews, what they value is me being in the front row, being there with them. So what I did is, this was about 6 minutes before I started this call. I read through everything. I muscle checked myself. I felt aligned with it. I wrote that. I said I'd get a yes in my body about all of this. I let people know when I would be available, and that I felt they were on a solid path. Love you, Susanne. See, now that's more the signature of an artist and less of the, I need to meticulously go through every last thing because what if there's litigation? Do you see what I'm saying? So I'm setting a goal of being responsive in that authentic way, and really giving trust without necessarily getting sloppy. But so that's newer for me. That's a newer skill, and it's a really appreciated one. It's not quite as concrete as starting a painting, but I want you to see that artistry could be in one of these skills you're developing as a multi-potentialite, as somebody who's more liquid and flowing in a work pod environment. So let's hear from 2 or 3 people. What's a mini goal you could do to really grow yourself, bring your own artistry to something like this month, you know? Yeah. Hey there, Lindsay.
Hi, so nice to see all of you. This, like, I listened to the first call and I really got jazzed on vision creating. And so I'm still sort of in that mindset, but this, like what you're saying right now is really, I feel like, applicable to where I'm at with my current job. I'm an in-house graphic designer for a small company, and I've been working remotely for the last 2.5 years through the pandemic. I have a young daughter. My husband's working from home. We've done a lot of shifting in our life to kind of create more balance in work and life and all of the things. But something that's come up for us is that we are actually, as a family, looking to relocate to a different city because of affordability. We live in a place where the housing market is just insane, and we want to be closer to our family. So I have been sitting on the question to ask my employer about making my position completely remote. Remote in the sense of, being physically in a different location. Because we, as a company, there's various levels of this remote work. Some people are more hybrid, but most people are working from home. So I've been sitting on this question, and I feel a lot of anxiety, around asking it, because I spin out into all the possibilities. Oh, well, what if they, and really it's a yes or no answer, but like I find myself living in that space of trying to capture all of the possibilities without knowing really what the answer is going to be.
Okay, now who identifies with this thing Lindsay's talking about? This, like, okay, see, because she knows as soon as she asks the question, she's revealed her vision. So would you like me to break the snow globe or leave you there, or other?
Break the snow globe.
Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Well, here's the great thing, is you've already demonstrated your efficiency and proficiency with a remote position, and your employer already understands how all that works. And he or she may have a vision for their future that they have not yet disclosed about what they want, which is unfortunate. Although the future of work will involve that employers share their vision. So what I would say to you is that that you have all the grace in the world to go to your employer and express this as your vision and what you see the future of work being, and the way that you'd love to continue in this way, and these are the actions you're going to take, and let them respond. Some of the things that I feel are part of the dynamic question is, they may change their mind later on as well. Yet so that would break the snow globe. That would let them know where you're at. And most of the time, the person will already say yes, and it will open the floodgates of the possibility for you and your husband. If they say no, do you want to know what the wonderful thing is? Do you already see what the wonderful thing is? Kind of.
I mean, I think it's informative, right? It's gonna
Exactly.
lead me to the next choice that holds that vision.
Exactly. And then you did, just back to what our Megan said. Well, she didn't exactly say this, but like, we don't need to make that employer wrong for not seeing that future, because they might not be to that place in their evolution or the way that they want to work yet. And that's okay. But then that it's a different parity. And that gives you information. So breaking that snow globe is so helpful. And that's really going to let you know what to do. And now, does your husband have a similar situation?
He's fully remote. He can work from anywhere. Yeah. Yeah.
I would then, if I may offer another thing in terms of, now, do you have a written vision already, Lindsay?
I do not. No.
Okay.
I'm
so
behind.
You might want to just take yourself, Empower My Future, and do that. That's our free offering. Get that written, get onto some goal coaching hours with some of our folks. You could get all that there. And just as like more of a mom person, being closer to your family and mitigating costs and getting equity is probably a higher order priority than the anxiety of this question. Right?
Yes.
So 2 snow globes broken.
Yes.
All right. Good job.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. So that's like a really powerful, because it's a shorter term vision, and it's where, just as Hunter said, it's where you're sitting. You're kind of sitting on go, but you haven't pressed the go button. That's likely the artistry to bring out, right? So let's hear from one other person before I give you a chance to say hi and maybe work a little bit together. What's another way you could bring artistry to? She's already an artist, Lindsay. To your life. I'm actually going to ask you to come on, Chris Bachman, because I want to make sure you get this. You get something that you want. Could you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you see? Because so that you all know, like Chris has come with me to Mozambique. She's begun to travel again to Africa. She's got training as an epidemiologist and as a field study malariologist. She's got all this kind of cool background, and you're there on the massage table and someone is saying, "Oh, I see you're an artist." So where is it time for you to see your art?
I don't really know.
I know you don't, but if you did, what would it be?
I've been playing around. I can't even believe I'm saying this out loud, but with a screenplay.
Oh my gosh.
And, I'm really just doing character development right now, and kind of setting the stage. And it takes a lot for me to sit down and do it, even though it's in my head. So.
Okay, so it's a play.
No, my vision is that it would be a movie.
It'll be a movie. It'll be a movie. We're going to need Ronnie. We have to have no, it's like, so just for fun and 500 extra adventure points. What's the basic? Is it a fiction? Is it a documentary? Is it romance? What? Tell us just enough so that when I see you, I will remember this art within.
It's based off of the community where I lived on pilings over the Puget Sound. And actually, I'm a little stuck on what the thread is, whether it's when I restored my cabin or if it's a bit more interpersonal. But I think one of the main characters is really the community, because it's a pretty special
The community is the character.
Yeah.
Okay, now I've only written one book and I've never written a screenplay for a movie. I do know people who have. I will tell you, listen to Hunter, start.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you start, you'll get something down, and then you'll see the next thing. And I promise you, I'm going to make a prophecy for you, Chris Bachman. This screenplay is going to show you about your journey now with Michael and the career and the different pieces. It's gonna take you to a place of reflection about Salmon Beach and all those different things, and then you're gonna see something about this livelihood and this career in a whole new way.
May I share one simple blockage that's quite large?
Share a blockage.
Well, the community loves being remote, and there are some really interesting characters, and I want to respect their stories. So I've thought about how to fictionalize it a bit, but then also like the place itself.
Yes. Okay. Well, we could start like a writer's workshop on Lightyear, but I would say that what you can do is begin with what you have, and then bring in the spirit of creativity, and you could move the community, change the names, change the quirks and the peculiarities, and even change your name.
Yeah.
And have a pen name. Like there's a way where the part of you that wants to be literal and document like field studies, you just need to give her a glass of wine and get over to this other place. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah. Oh my Christ. I would have never known. That's not anywhere in your profile. And now like it's a sweet thing to know. Okay. So powerful. All right, you all. For anyone that's driving or would just prefer to have like a little quiet time, you're welcome to stay with me in the main room. What I'm going to do, though, is place you into breakout rooms for 6 minutes, so that in groups of 3, so you can talk and meet new people and say, well, here's the thing that I'm considering for creativity and art in my life. Okay. And then we'll all come back and share, because this is the future of work. This is the future of being a multi-potentialite. This is the future of balance. All right. So I'm going to create those rooms. Go meet each other. Okay. Bye, Patricia. Take care. She's so fun. There she goes. Okay. Bye. Best breakout room ever. Okay, so what did some of you all plant and say and see? Let's land the call with some inspiration. Oh, Christine, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand. I saw all those hearts. Hi, I so want to know.
I never knew how to raise my hand until recently. So I mean, sometimes I raise my hand at dinner to talk. So that's
call on Christine.
Well, I was in a breakout room with Daniel and Allison, and I got some brilliant insights. I was talking about how so much of my work right now is more like traditionally viewed artistry, like painting and doing that. And I'm working to just get the stuff done that's a little bit more logistical, like digitizing and resizing and figuring those things out. And I was saying how I feel like I'm dragging my feet. I need to bring the artistry to that. And I saw that I needed to bring music into that. And then there was another piece, and Daniel shared with me that sometimes he does like Zoom working hours. So the idea of just being able to be with someone, even if they're not doing the same thing. And I was sharing, I used to do that with my husband, with Julian, like when we had a long distance relationship, we would just both Skype, but we wouldn't like talk about anything. We'd just be in different time zones, but be able to like do the dishes, and just having someone else there. And I feel like I get to this thing where I don't want to be on the computer anymore. But if I need to be on the computer, how can I do that and still have like connection and humanity?
Oh, maybe we could just simply offer, so Daniel,
a co-working space?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's where I'm talking. But so Daniel, could you describe for everyone a little bit about how the team does co-working office hours? But maybe there's a way for there to just simply be work on your computer with Lightyear people.
Yeah,
Anyway.
well, so it's something that I've been doing since even before the pandemic, because I had a lot of remote workers and a lot of people on different time schedules. So we would do Zoom and Slack work even before the pandemic. And when I started working with Lightyear, I started working with people in each time zone across the US. So we were kind of all over the place. Our days started at different times. Our schedules were very different. And so I brought in one of my practices, which is just co-working hours, which is basically an hour and 15 where I'm online. I know I'm going to be working on my projects. So I might as well turn on my camera, have a 10-minute check-in before and invite people to work with me. And most of the time we're working on our own projects at the same time. Sometimes we actually co-labor on group projects and it becomes group work time, but it becomes this kind of not like replicating an in-office experience, but creating this occasion where we have time to check in and say hello. We can have that kind of ambient people energy around us, yet you can also mute, which is really nice. So like sometimes we'll stream music for everyone. Sometimes we'll mute and we'll all be doing our own thing, working in silence or listening to music. Sometimes we'll actually go into breakout rooms and there's only like 3 people on the line, but we just use that to have that sense of connection because I know that's a part of fueling the work. And honestly, now we get the most stuff done when we're doing that together.
And when I've dropped in, what's really sweet is just like sometimes talk about, oh yeah, I'm having a noon tablet. Do you know how sometimes you just want to talk to somebody and tell them like what kind of tea you're drinking? So you're not by yourself, Thanks, Daniel. I've really enjoyed watching and being part of that whole co-working idea. And that could bring so much, Christine. Do you need any help actuating that? Do you see like how and what you could do?
I do. And I feel like there's a couple different, like I have a really great peer group right now in this course I'm taking, and we're all kind of going through the same thing. So I could offer to see if anybody wants to do co-working hours, like for the module we're working on. And I see a value in that. And I also see a value in reaching out to people who are not working on that at all, like in a completely different realm. Like I'm just going to single you out, Colette, like as you work on your website, I could see us like co-working together and then, screen sharing and being able to say, hey, what do you think of this? Like in 5 minutes, or if you're putting together a new routine, like, do you like this song? Like just to have someone to bounce ideas off to and not be, as Daniel's saying, maybe not on the same project, yet still almost having that brain frequency that's outside the project that allows for a different type of input and insight.
Yeah, if we're not careful, Chris Buckman will probably write a screenplay about us. These quirky people. No. But you're right. See, by practicing that, it gives us, the future of work. People will come together in these pods and be working independently and collaboratively and having relationships. And just so everybody listening knows, Colette and Christine live blocks from each other. They could go for a walk. And yet there's times when sharing your screen, because it's a digital self-expression, is the correct thing to do. Because there's work that must be done on the computer. I mean, it's genius. It's genius. Okay, let's hear. Oh gosh, it's time. There is one more. Does someone just have a seed to send us off with of an artistic thing they see for themselves? I know there is. Who is it? Come on, tell us. It'll be so fun. Yes, it's Debbie. What have you had?
So, I love to play the piano, and Barbara was talking about that, and I am going to put up my electronic piano and start playing.
Great. Great. You never know. We could always tune in to Debbie while she's playing piano, and that could be our background music while we're working. You just don't know. Okay, good job, everyone. I'd love to get comments on anything that you see, questions that you'd want to answer. I'll do the final session on the future of work on May 18th. I'm doing a podcast tomorrow that will be out later with an innovative group, so you'll hear more about that. And I've really enjoyed having the opportunity to share my thoughts on this. So let's all come off mute. It's so great to see you. And Allison, you should meet Megan, because you both work in higher education. So this is my friend Allison Carr. She's super cool. There's Megan. Okay. All right, you guys. Take care, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Megan. I'll find you on the hub.